everyone, it's Allie and welcome to my channel. So today I am really excited because I'm going to be showing you all of the books that I am hoping I will read over the month of December. So if you saw one of my last videos, I was showing you everything that I was hoping to read during November, and November was not a great reading month for me, but even me just saying that, I put too much pressure sometimes to read a certain amount, especially since I have started this book channel. I actually read a pretty good amount of books, like probably 13 or so, and if I had read that consistently throughout the year, I wouldn't be in the position I am now, which is I'm probably not gonna meet my yearly goal of reading 100 books. If I am to meet my 100 book goal, that means I need to read 25 books during the month of December, probably the busiest month of the year. Can I do it? Honestly, maybe just because I am so stubborn and I really hate not meeting a challenge, but I'm not gonna put too much pressure on myself. I do have 15 kind of specific December Christmassy books picked out to read, and if I am able to get through all of these, I will likely go back to some of the November ones I didn't get to, or I'll just pick some other ones off of my to-be read shelf that aren't very season specific. So the first book that I am going to read is one that you did see in the November picks, and this is For the Throne, which is the second book in the For the Wolf series. I wasn't super into For the Wolf. It was one that took me a while to read. I was kind of starting and stopping because the first half I just was really struggling to get into. I'm not really sold on this fantasy world. It's just not a personal favorite of mine, and I do really enjoy fantasy. And if you look at reviews for this duology, they're pretty mixed. Some people absolutely love it. I personally know a couple people who said it's their favorite book of the year. I didn't necessarily feel that way. It is written quite well, so that's definitely what kept me invested. And the second half, I will say, is much more interesting to me personally than the first half. It was interesting enough to make me want to eventually get to the second one. I wasn't dying to read this right after I finished the first one. I read that probably 6 books ago. But I do think I will like this second one more than the first, just because there's less of that world building, and like I said, I just don't really like the world that is in this story. And the For the Wolf and the For the Throne duology I thought was going to be a little bit more like Little Red Riding Hood, especially based on the cover of the first book. I will say it's much more of a Beauty and the Beast story, so that's just something to know going into it. That's not personally one of my favorite stories. And the romance is a little bit Twilight-esque, I would say. So if you like kind of an emo, moody romance, you would probably like these books. But all that to say, the day I'm filming this, November 30th, I am going to start this book this evening, so I will be finishing it during December. But okay, then going into the 15 books that are much more holiday and Christmas-esque. So the first is Little Women. I'm trying to read more classics, and I did read this before. I read this when I was pretty young, actually, but the story is one of my absolute favorites. The Susan Sarandon, Winona Ryder movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. Absolutely would recommend watching it during this time of year. But when I was at the book loft, which I made a video of, I think that was my last video actually, I did pick up this beautiful Chiltern copy there. And hey, friends and family, loved ones, I would like to start collecting the Chiltern books, because just look at that cover, ignore the sticker, it doesn't peel off very easily, but I absolutely love the design of this book, and I think this is just gonna be a wonderful reread for me, and it's honestly not super long. So this will probably be my first one on the list after For the Throne, just to really get me in the family Christmas vibes. Now I do gotta say, I'm not a big chick lit, romance even fan. I like romance mixed in to a story, but I don't always love when that's the main point. But I do have a fair amount of rom-com type books, romances picked out for this month, because of all months, I mean, this is the season for a cheesy romance, and they're usually quick reads too, so it'll be nice if I am kind of just hanging around the house for an afternoon, crank one out. I think mixing those in with some of the more serious ones throughout the month is what is going to like actually get me through. And I'm not gonna say where I did get all these books, but I got them from either a bookstore or book outlet. That's where a lot of these are from. Amazon, and maybe even the thrift store for some of these. So I'll have everything linked down below so you can check out anything that you might be interested in. So one of the romances is 8 Perfect Hours. Just the covers of some of these cute romance books makes you think of a Hallmark movie, and that's kind of what I'm looking for in some of these books during this month. And a lot of these romances I got off book outlet, and I did take a little bit of time to read the synopsis. I don't often do that, but with romances, I was like, I want to be a little more interested in the story. Some stories are much better than others. So this one did catch my attention. It says, on a snowy evening in January, 30-something Noelle Butterby, which is great because now I am 30-something. She is on her way back from an event at her old college when disaster strikes. With a blizzard closing off roads, she finds herself stranded alone in her car without food, drink, or even worse, a working charger for her phone. Actually, that's horrifying when you're stuck. But then all seems lost until handsome Sam Atwood, also trapped in a nearby car, bad luck, knocks on her window and offers assistance. After 8 perfect hours together, morning arrives and the roads finally clear. The two strangers part, positive they'll never see each other again. But fate has something else in mind. So this one I think will just be a cute one. Also one, I just could not pass this up. This one is called Christmas by the Book by Anne Marie Ryan. But look at this cover. Look at the little doggy and the Christmas tree. Hopefully this one will not disappoint me. And it's about bookshop owners. Nora and Simon have run the beautiful oak beamed bookshop in their British village. I didn't even realize it was British. For 30 years, but times are tough and the shop is under threat of closure. The holiday season will really decide their fate. When an elderly man visits the store and buys the one book they've never been able to sell, it gives Nora an idea. She and Simon will send out books to those feeling down this time of year and lift people's spirits through the power of reading. So that sounds just really heartfelt, and I'll probably cry at the end. I did not know a lot of these books existed by some of my favorite authors, so I had never heard of this book before. Just like many of these, I find a lot of books just by browsing around. I like to do a lot of blind reads, but this one is by Gregory Maguire, who wrote Wicked, which I did try to read that series when I was younger and I could not get into it at all. So that's been on my list for a few years to try again and see if I liked it. But I think my mom said she didn't really like that one, so that's why I haven't really paid much attention to it. But anyway, I know a lot of people really like this author, and this is called A Wild Winter Swan. And that's a really pretty cover there, I think. And this one is pretty short. This will definitely be like a one sitting read for me, I feel like, just like a Sunday afternoon. Just 230 pages, but a lot of blank space. And it says, Laura lives on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in an aging brownstone with her old world grandparents, but the arrangements may be temporary. Laura's on the verge of being sent to a boarding school in Montreal in the new year after being expelled from school for behavior unbecoming of a young lady. She finds herself in a fairy tale when a handsome boy with a swan wing in place of a left arm lands on her roof. So this sounds pretty fun, a little bit of fantasy, but I have a feeling this will be one of my favorite books of the month. But you never know, I am surprised all the time. This is one I'm just gonna have in my bag until I finish it. It is just a really cute small collection of short stories from Kate Atkinson, who is quickly becoming one of my favorite authors. I really, really like her books. I actually just placed a big order of her books from Book Outlet, and they're gonna be ones that I just reach for. So I have like 7 of those on deck. Always great to find an author who has like a lot of books for you to read. But these are just 3 little stories that are festive, as the name suggests, for the season. I think it's great to have a little book like this in your purse so you can read rather than go on your phone while you're at an appointment waiting to go back or whatever. It's nice just to do a little bit of reading in that time, especially if I have a prayer of reading 25 books this month. This is one that popped up when I typed in like Christmas holiday books on Amazon, and I had no idea this existed. This is by J.R.R. Tolkien, which I actually just heard someone say that it's supposed to be pronounced Tolkien, and we've all just been saying it wrong. So if you know the answer for sure, let me know down below. Is it Tolkien or is it Tolkien? Because you gotta show respect to the guy. But this is called Letters from Father Christmas. So cute. And I love this because there's like pictures all throughout. I'm not really sure if it is just like a collection of individual letters that he wrote and then put together, or if there is like a bigger story within this. So I'll let you guys know when I do the review. But yeah, I thought this was way too cute and interesting to pass up. I think this is gonna be a favorite of the month. This is called Persetroika and Paris. Look at this cover. If you guys haven't figured it out by now, I am a big sucker for a cute cover if there's gonna be little animals on it. And this is one that popped up on Amazon when I typed in Christmas and holiday, and it seems like it's a story set during the Christmas time. It's not necessarily super Christmassy itself, so that will be a little bit of a break from all of the very Christmassy stories. It says, Paris, short for Persetroika, is a spirited racehorse at a racetrack west of Paris. One afternoon, she finds the door of her stall open and wanders all the way to the City of Light. She's dazzled and often mystified by the sights, sounds, and smells around her. Soon she meets a German short-haired pointer named Frida, who knows how to get by without attracting the attention of suspicious Parisians while gaining more friends, 2 irrepressible ducks, and an opinionated raven. So that just sounds like this is gonna be my new favorite book of all time. I don't know. And look how cute that little author is there. She just looks like the best aunt ever. Another little novel from one of my favorite authors, Kristen Hanna. I think a lot of people really like her. Some of her books I do like more than others, but she's a really great historical fiction author if you have not by chance read many of her books. I know The Nightingale was really popular last year. I actually haven't read that one yet. I needed a little bit of a break from like World War II books. I read a lot of them because I do like historical fiction and a lot of people like to write during that time period. But this says that it is a modern day fairy tale, and it is the heartwarming story of a woman at a crossroads caught between 2 lives who finds a second chance at happiness. This one was actually written back in 2005, so it's a little bit older than I thought, but if you have not by chance read this, it's probably gonna be good, from Kristen Hanna. Another little holiday romance here with a cute cover. This is Christmas in the Scottish Highlands by Donna Ashcroft. When I saw this cover and the title, I was reminded of a movie that came out on Netflix last year. I forget what it's called, but I'll pop up a picture here. It was pretty cute, but it sounds like it does have 3 different characters that are all in different places as far as holiday spirit, and they interact with each other, and I'm sure there's some healing and love, and we love all of that. So this should be a pretty cute read set in a fun Christmas environment. A Train in Winter, which, just as I said, I needed a break from World War II stories. I have had a break, so we'll read this one. This is the extraordinary story of women, friendship, and survival in World War II, and I was especially interested in this because it is based off of a true story, which of course not all of the World War II books are. This is a pretty thick book, so honestly, if it's not going very well, I probably will stop reading it, even though I hardly ever don't finish books, because just like For the Wolf, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, sometimes they turn around by the end, and I just like to see it through. That's just my personal opinion, but just because I am trying to read so much this month, I might put this off till January if it's a slower read. Another cute one here, this is The Holiday Swap, and this is by Maggie Knox. And I don't know why, but I just love stories, especially movies, where people are switching places, so I was really drawn to this book. And it says, when Chef Charlie Goodwin gets hit on the head on the LA set of her reality baking show, she loses her critical ability to taste and smell. I can just see this as a movie, definitely. Meanwhile, Charlie's identical twin, Cass, is frantically trying to hold her own life together back in their quaint mountain hometown, while running the family's bakery and dealing with the breakup that just won't end. With only days until Christmas, a desperate Charlie and Cass do something they haven't done since they were kids: switch places. So I think I'm gonna really like this book. I kind of like that. I'm sure there's romance in here, but I like that it's that sister relationship. That's pretty fun. Another favorite author of mine, I'm really excited for a lot of these reads because we're covering almost all my favorite authors here. So this is Frederick Bachman, and it is The Deal of a Lifetime, and this is really short. I'm sure it's just considered a novella, and ooh, I opened it up and there's a really pretty picture inside. But Frederick Bachman is definitely one of my auto-buy authors. I haven't read everything that he's written so far. Sometimes with favorite authors, I like to kind of spread out what they've done, so I've got books to pick up if I really, really want to read something by him. But yeah, talking about Bachman, I did get his newest book, The Winners, which is the third book in the Beartown trilogy. And I will say, of all of his books that I've read, I'd say Anxious People is probably my favorite so far, although I know I haven't read some of his really good ones. A Man Called Ove is a lot of people's favorite. That is really good, but it's not my personal one. But people really, really, really love the Beartown trilogy, and I definitely like it. I read the first two. I'm gonna read this Honkin' Boy this month, and I'm looking forward to it. But this is not my personal favorite story. And basically the overall story is that there is like this motley crew of hockey player kids, and there's a few standouts. A lot of the kids are struggling, and the whole town is just really centered around hockey. That's like their thing. And there's a big dramatic event that happens in the first book that just really affects the town immensely. And so the second book built off of that, and then this one, of course, will sum everything up. So I am excited to read this. That might be one of the first books I read this month too, while I still have energy. One more cutesy little book here. This one is called So This Is Christmas. I like this cover. I like the pink on there. And the back just says, Christmas, Oklahoma is a terrible place to celebrate Christmas. Luckily, it's the perfect place to fall in love. And I do appreciate that the bottom of the pages have those snowflakes there. That's fun. And then last, but certainly not least, is The Bear and the Nightingale, which has been on my to-read list for quite a while now. This is book one of the Winter Night trilogy, but I'm sure you'll recognize this cover. I feel like every time I go into a bookstore, it's like one of the first books that I see, but I just had never picked it up until recently. I just went to Barnes & Noble and they were having a buy one get one sale for certain books, and this was on there, so I did decide to get it. But I actually don't really know what this is about, so we'll do a quick little read here. It says, winter lasts most of the year at the edge of the Russian wilderness. Sorry, like that setting. And in the long nights, Vasilia, probably saying that completely wrong, and her siblings love to gather by the fire to listen to their nurses' fairy tales. Above all, Vasya loves the story of Frost, the blue-eyed winter demon. Wise Russians fear him, for he claims unwary souls, and they honor the spirits that protect their homes from evil. Then Vasya's widowed father brings home a new wife from Moscow. Fiercely devout, Vasya's stepmother forbids her family from honoring their household spirits, for Vasya fears what they may bring. And indeed, misfortune begins to stalk the village. So this does sound really good, actually even better than I was hoping. So really excited to read that one. And then of course, whatever other books I can fit in. But do let me know what you are reading this month down below. Have you met your goal for the year? And if you don't follow me on Goodreads yet, definitely do. I always have that link down in the description. And like I said, any of these books that I talked about, whether I got it from a specific place that I linked or not, I will have a link to all of them down below. And I hope you guys are ready for lots of cozy, Christmassy content this month. I, for one, am definitely in the mood for a chill month, lots of lounging around in the evenings, cozied up in loungewear and slipper socks and a blanket. And if that sounds good to you, definitely hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of the content I'm putting out this month. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.